RC Underground Radio.
Yes, I realize I look like an idiot with this mustache, and I'm okay with it.
The ultimate podcast that covers everything RC.
You don't need to cut anything either. You can just call this the raw, uncut episode. We can leave it at that.
The raw. Yeah.
Are you drinking dollar store soda again? Quit spending your money on RC stuff. You can buy some name brand soda.
RC Underground Radio is your backstage pass to the RC industry. With insiders that are shaping the future of the hobby. The future of the hobby.
When we bring this guest on, I guarantee people are going to go, are you kidding me? He wrote a song.
I did.
We're going to have to end this soon, huh?
Yeah, no shit. And we're going to have to edit this.
So, here are your hosts, Dave Brinkman and Ryan Ratzloff.
All right, welcome again, everybody, to another week of RC Underground Radio. And just like every week, we're learning with you. And so this week, we're going to be learning about drift cars. What do you think of that, Ryan? Drifting.
Honestly, I know nothing about it, but what I can tell you is I've seen it, and it is rad. Like, I just don't even know what these guys are doing, how they're doing it. And so this is going to be super exciting to learn, more about this, about the hobby, what all goes into it, and, what you need to get started versus if you want to go pro with this stuff. So I'm going to shut up, eat a Snickers, and just learn.
Right. So with that, we brought in one of the best in the business. We got Ricky Diaz here to help us out here. We got our co-host, Jakey Bolter. Jakey, join us as well. Great. Jakey. So, Ricky.
Yes, sir.
Take us under your wing. Take us under your wing, brother. Explain this awesome hobby.
You got to start, there's four wheels.
So ready to run cars. I don't have a problem with them. I think I was talking pretty good about them for entry level. So if you want to go entry level car, ready to run, you're already pretty much. I'll give you a base like I show this. This is pre-built, but basically you would get a chassis like this, pretty much all plastic. It's like a polycarbonate. That's what they call it, but we call it a plastic fantastic because they actually work just as you can get some of these plastic. Regular base chassis to work great. So you're looking at a roller here without wheels, but this is a roller, your typical roller. This is actually the top dog everyone's wanting right now. It's the Rev D RDX. This is actually a kit, but ready to run, it would look like this with a set of electronics on there, like a budget-friendly style of electronics, and then you got your just regular ordinary controller. Now for the guys that are really wanting to dive deep into it, they know that they're gonna stick with it. Maybe they've ran a ready to run, like a friend's car, and then people try to persuade them. I always tell those guys, go with your gut feeling for sure, because if you're into buggies, or if you race or anything like that, and you know how to build, you're going to want to build. So it can go both ways. So there's no right or wrong way with that, because I know that ready to runs, as soon as you get them on the track, it's pretty much ready to go. You don't have to fix nothing. You don't have to tune nothing. And they keep up pretty well. And for a good price, you're getting everything you need. You'll need a battery and you'll need a charger, and that's about it. But I would suggest the MSTs. If anything, they come with the body sometimes now, and I just think that's the best bang for your buck would be a ready to run MST. Even I'm a Yokomo fanatic. They come out with Yokomo ready to runs as well, but they come with a NiCad. They come with brushed. So it's kind of like everyone's in brushless right now, not putting down Yokomo because I love them. But if it had a better system, like a brushless system, I would say to stick with that for sure.
Jake, you came into this hobby as someone who's seen it from the outside and said, that's pretty cool. I want to get in it. So how did you get started, and how long do you feel it took you to like really enjoy the hobby?
Oh, it was the first time I drove it. It was a blast. But I found it on YouTube. I seen some videos and I just did a bunch of research and tried to find stuff. And then actually I went on a Facebook group and just typed in RC Drift Milwaukee. And I found some great guys here that got it set up in a basement and went over there, hung out with them. I didn't even know these guys. I met them randomly in a Facebook group and just started racing RC cars in a basement. Sound familiar, Brinkman? Yeah, those guys are so cool. Welcome me in. Hey, what are you running? Let's go. Let me help you tune it. Why don't you try this? Why don't you try that? And kind of touching in on the tunes. Everybody's style is different, so everybody's tune's different. So, if you drive 3 different people's cars, they're all going to handle different. But when they all get on the track, because of everybody's style, they all keep up with each other. So tuning is pretty important with them. And that took, man, I bet 2 years to actually dial in a good tune. I started with a real cheap car, a Sakura D4. That was a bad idea. Great car. It was cool to get into the hobby with, but that was a rough one to tune. I don't even think they make that chassis anymore. I think they're on the D5s, maybe even D6s now. Now I run a Yokomo, the EX, with a bunch of aluminum upgrades, and man, it's way different now.
So you agree with Ricky in that you should probably kind of maybe a little bit higher end, mid entry level type stuff there.
Yeah, it's just quality. The MST, that was a great one out of the box. I ran one of those, took it out of the box and ran it, and it ran very well, just with stock setup.
So here's a question for you guys. When I see video or I see pictures, like, it's the scenery too. It looks like the authenticity. Yeah, the scale, the authenticity, buildings and the way the streets look like real streets. I mean, I've seen some video where you guys follow the cars around with the video. I mean, it's unbelievable. Would you say that's as much the motivation in the hobby as it is building the cars and driving them?
These guys at some of the tracks are getting so detailed to where they're getting to this. How we do scale bodies, they're legit doing their track to the scale track, I just got back from Chicago. So we did Tuner Galleria Chicago. We make our own track, right? And Shadow Circuit put that on, and they're out of Chicago. Well, afterwards, we went to their place. I've been there before, but we got to go with it. It was more of a private session. It was really, really good and really, really nice. But it's a mockery of a drift track in Japan called Mini Mayhem. Well, there's a Mini Mayhem, but it's Mayhem C-Course. And when I say it's to the T, like, they have it scaled out, like, as if it was scaled down. And it's a cool experience to do. It's a different style of driving. If you're used to, say, flowy tracks and just getting around, this is really get down. You're throwing down really hard, and it's very comp style, but it's very fun at the same time. So I would say that getting into like drifting, even real drifters seeing that stuff, it gets actual drifters wanting to do RC drifting. It's pretty cool.
That's cool.
You see Justin Pollock out
cool.
there, and he's his son out there drifting. That's a pretty cool sight.
It's crazy to watch. I watched a lot of videos, and the main reason I got hooked on it because Jake is so passionate about it. That's his jam, and I'll watch these videos. And you're right, Ricky. It's like unbelievable. Jake showed me some stuff, and I'm like, you have to take a second look, and say, wait a minute, that's 1/10 scale. It's not, it is unbelievable what you guys do. It absolutely blows my mind. Outside of the cars and driving them the way you do, I first off could never do it. I have zero talent, but just everything that's surrounding it. It's not about just the cars. It's all about that scale setup too. And that's what really intrigues me about, you guys and the drifting and that whole portion of our hobby. of RC is that you guys are so intense. And I love that. I love seeing that.
So when we were talking about Matt Bartell is a build. He's like one of my really good friends in the hobby, and whenever we see each other, it's like you seeing your good friend again. But he is a builder that he makes such scale. You won't know if that's a picture of a car in a garage or if it's a RC car on a desktop with just a background. I mean, this guy is. I like how when it says like authenticity, he does everything by hand. He makes all the parts. Everything is made. I very rarely. I mean, the bodies he'll buy the body, but when it comes to buying the parts, he makes it all, like to exhaust, bending, everything. But it looks so good and so scaled that you would not know. And to make it with your hands, that's a really good. That's a really good skill. He's really good at that. He's came a long way.
Jakey, I know you got a couple of comments you were going to say.
Oh man, going back to Matt Bartell, he is one of the best. He actually posted a picture on Facebook today that I stopped and I had to look and go, real or his garage? And it took a minute, and I seen another one in the background. Matt Bartell did this one for me last, but you can see the detail he puts into it. The bumpers are actually magnetic on, so when we're out there, if we do bump a little bit, the bumper will fall off. And it's full underneath detail.
Say go check out Matt Bartell's work if you want to see some really cool scale RC cars.
I'd like to talk about that gyro a little bit. When it comes to the gyro, especially in the drift world, new people are always going to say that's cheating. It's cheating. It's cheating. It's always going to be the first thing you hear from a new person until they try to drive without one. When you drive a car, I'm sure everybody's driven in snow and you slid a little bit. Your wheels counter steer. So whatever way you're going, your wheels are going to counter steer. These cars are so light that they're not going to do that on their own, especially with the hard plastic tires. So you need that gyro. And that gyro plays such a crucial part in these drift cars. I've tried to go with the cheap ones, and I bet I went through 2 or 3 cheap ones, $20, $30 gyros before finally I spent, I don't know, probably $100 on a decent one. Game changer. And just like tuning, you got all kinds of settings in your gyro you can mess with, your gain and everything, and dialing those in are just as important as your anchorment and your suspension and your toe out and all of that. Tuning is so crazy on these things.
All right, so when you're talking about the gyro, that's going to be your it's your assist mode. So we I'm gonna compare it to when in racing, like drag racing. Some guys will use a regular gyro. It's not a gyro like this, but it's telemetry. So telemetry. So think of telemetry. It keeps your car kind of straight, and if you turn it off, you can get the more wiggle and wobble. Well, when it comes to a gyro, here's your gyro. I don't know if you can see it like that, but this is an OMG V3 gyro. Now what it does is, since we get so much angle, so here's my car frontwards, and I'm going to turn into lock. When I turn it, it's all the way at 90 and it's spinning like very well still. Well, when you're in it and when you're turning so much and when you're in that big sweeper, so when this is coming around, your gyro you can just take your car, do this, and you will see that the wheels will actually start counter steering itself. So basically, think of yourself driving in the snow and letting your car actually get itself back to action, but you're actually assisting it. You're holding just like you're holding your wheel on your remote. So it's that same feel, and you can actually feel when you need to get on it and off of it. And it's like, if you didn't have that assist, we would be going probably about 3 miles an hour. But what that gyro does is help you, it stabilizes your car. That is basically your stabilizer. And I will say, you do need a decent gyro and a decent servo when it comes down to um, getting your RC car. If you want it to drive well, you can have, like I said, all day a plastic car, but you definitely want to have a good gyro servo combo. I use RC OMG. I love them. I'm I'm dedicated to them, and I mean, if you're in the heli world or if you know anything about planes or helicopters, they really, really rely on stuff like that. So if you think about it like that, you don't want to ruin anything of a helicopter. Those things are like $3,500. So when it comes to a gyro and to a servo and in a drift car, it's I think it's important. Get something decent. Don't cheap out on that, and you should be good.
One thing at a time. Once you start messing, if you mess with your camber, then mess with your camber. Don't start messing with your toe at the same time. Always stick with one thing, try it a couple of laps, then come back, and then try the next thing. And then you find a sweet spot between those two. And yeah, because I've seen that many times too, where people go into the pit and they start messing with everything, and then it comes out way worse than when they were out there 10 minutes ago.
So here's an example of reason why. This is how much angle we get with a drift car. So my wheel is legit 90, and I will still have full turn wheel spin.
Wow.
And I mean, you see how, well, we're actually not on the floor, but when you're up here, it's in a raise up. And once that comes this way, your contact patch, as you see both sides, it's getting a full contact. Now, if you don't see that, you're going to want to adjust. So then you have your caster that helps. Then you have your Ackerman. Then you have your camber. So that's why I say, like when he was saying, do one thing at a time, see how it feels, come back to it. That's how you get that fine tune. And it really just comes down to learning and getting that seat time in. And once you get that seat time in and that click, I feel like you're never going to stop.
That's true with all forms of RC racing. You know, you want to just continue to work, and once you understand a concept, you know, apply that concept, you know, and then learn more and keep digging. I think that's so cool. I love seeing that front end, and my goodness, I wouldn't want to do that on my dirt oval cars. That's a bit much, but it's just, again, it's amazing how, and you're right, you know, the front end geometry just so critical to how that car performs, you know, setting ride heights.
Yeah.
You know, setting that ride height and then understanding, you know, your Ackerman, your caster, camber. You've got to
it
have
all
that.
Comes into play.
It's so crazy. Wow.
It's
neat though how our worlds collide.
Yeah.
In terms of understanding those same principles, it's just, I don't know. Drifting to me just seems like a whole nother level, but in the end, it all drives back to.
So you do the dirt oval, correct?
Yep.
So you know when you're in them turns, you wanna you're keeping that car when you're sliding that last big old bank. You know you're trying to keep that car going and going. That's what that gyro does for us. So when that gyro hits on them turns like that, it's literally helping us countersteer that big old sweeper or the turn, and that's what keeps you going like perfect. And then you dial, like he said, you got to dial that gyro in so you don't have any wiggle. Sometimes you have too less gyro and feel like you're ice skating around, but it still feels okay. So you'll find that butter mark. You will find it.
So I have to ask this question. You know, we pushed Jake into the deep end of the pool, and we brought him oval racing. We brought him dirt car racing. Have you, Ricky, done any other forms of racing or any kind of forms of racing?
I have not been able to like race, but I used to like doing speed runs. I was a speed run guy. That's what got me into drifting, actually. So I started doing speed runs, and I wanted to see how fast I can go. That was it. I just wanted to see how fast I can make a car go. I was watching video on video. My brother came over, brought a buggy. This buggy over, actually. And we were like, let's see how fast we can make this go. and we were getting these cars going like over 80 miles an hour, just on like a 2S battery, you know. And to me, I was like, this is awesome. So stepping the game up, you want to do more, you know, and that was it.
So, Jakey, based on the competition, explain to us how the competition works. I've seen some like full size drifting. Is it two cars on the track battling each other? Is it based on some kind of a point system? Like, what'll happen if you go to a drifting event?
I was actually just going to ask Ricky that because I've seen the competitions. I know it's just like Formula Drift where it's your speed, your angle, how close you follow, but I don't really know how it works in the RC world if it's much different than, let's say, Formula Drift or, you know, any of Japan Drift.
Papa Willie's Traction Tonic has been curing poor traction since 2016. The name says it all. If you're not popping wheelies, it's not Papa Willie's. Papa Willie's has become known across the United States on dirt oval to off-road, asphalt to concrete, carpet to hardwood, and so many other surfaces. Papa Willie's continues adding to their lineup with tonics for cold and hot weather, loose dirt to high traction, dry dirt, wet dirt, clay and abrasive surfaces, along with anti-drag bearing oil, tire cleaner, tire glue, pit accessories, and swag. You can find the complete Papa Willie's catalog at www.papawillies.net. Prepare for victory with Papa Willie's Traction Tonic.
Folks, are you looking to gain a 10th on the racetrack or maybe get a few ladies like Taylor Swift in your pit stall? Well, I'm sorry to say that Carpies can't work miracles in those departments. But here's the good news. The folks at Carpies can definitely help you become the ultimate toy car nerd, just like me. How, you ask? Well, with their custom wraps and killer collection of official RC branded merch. So while they can't promise to shave a 10th off your lap time, they can save you 10% on your next order with promo code RCU10 upon checkout at carpies.com, CARPYS.com. Wrapping winners since 2013.
My event compared to, say, I'll just say, like Super G. I idolize Super G. I love those guys. Shout out to Super G. They do a fantastic job on everything they do. Now, sometimes those things can kind of tear people apart, though. And I'm not putting them down at all, because the guys that want to comp should comp, and they should do everything that they want to do. But the difference with going to a competition and then saying like an open drift or Matsuri or even like a mystery battle, you at least have a chance of getting something of, you don't have to qualify in mine. There's nothing of that nature. I pull myself out, so I don't want to call myself like a top driver, but I consider myself a pretty good driver. And I would never want to win my own event at all either. So I don't feel like any judge or the person that's hosting should ever win or you know, I'm buying the trophies and stuff like that. I don't want to buy my own trophy. You know, I want to see people win. I want to see other people have that fun that I know that I've won a trophy before somewhere else, you know, like, and that to me is what I liked. And I did it one year that I did compete, and I said, you know, I can't do that no more, you know. And you win a trophy, it just felt weird. Now, is it bad to go to those other competitions? No way. Because those competitions, so mine compared to Super G, not saying that you're not driving with good drivers, but going to Super G style, like competitions, you're going to get serious guys. Now, you know what seriousness can cause sometimes, which is like, they're gung-ho at it. They're not your friends no more. We're driving, and I want to win this competition. Where my backyard is, we're having a good barbecue event, mystery battle. Everyone's going home to win something, and it's just always a good time, you know. And I'm surprised of how many people come out. I mean, last year we pulled about 8 states, and just to go to the backyard slab, like that was amazing to me. But also going to other competitions and other tracks is what makes you better. So I can't say that I'm doing anything better than the other groups, but I feel the vibe is a lot more how would you say that word? Comforting to actually say, okay, this guy would never actually compete in one of these other competitions, but he's going to compete here. He feels good here. He sees other drivers that may not be as good as him. And when you go somewhere that has all top drivers or just always some pretty good drivers, kind of pushes you back and makes you want to, if you know you're not going to win, those people sometimes don't go in. And I want those guys to go in, And another cool thing about the backyard mystery battles is there's a joker card. So when in a loser's bracket, if say there's eight guys who get, there's 8 guys and it's into the next round, I pull myself out, I throw out some cards, there's going to be a joker in there. So at least there's there could be a guy that didn't do so well at all, and he can come back and win. And it's happened. And that's the coolest thing. And I swear it was the coolest thing when his name's Maxwell. He treats me so good. And he goes, man, I've never won a trophy for anything in my life. I've never thought I'd win a trophy for RC drifting. And I can't believe I came back just that way, and that right there will make your day. That right there will just make you want to keep doing it and doing it. But I say to do it all, but definitely try everything, especially if you're going to stick with it and go into it. Don't be afraid. It's only going to make you better. Going to Super G for me, and I just say Super G because that's where my top drivers have been, where I win. But they're everywhere now. I mean, there's great drivers all over the place. You got Ohio D-scale drivers, you got the Kentucky drivers, you got lunar drift drivers. I mean, just it's really upped its game. So pretty much wherever you go for a competition, you're not going to get the 3 years ago when it's like, yep, we're going to kind of take over this place, and there's no more of that. You're going to have a good battle anywhere you go. So that's what I like. I like to see it all, actually.
Thank you for listening to the RC Underground Radio Podcast. Be sure to like, subscribe, and tell your fellow racers about the show. Tune in again next week for more RC content.
I mean, what can you say about Ricky Diaz? This dude is just so interesting that there's just no way to get it all in one episode. So we're going to end it here. We're going to come back next week and give you the second half of learning about drift car racing from Ricky Diaz. You don't want to miss it. Thanks for tuning in.